Shirley, this soda ain't sweet enough.
Oh? Yeah, it is.
Television executives in the mid-1970s were certain of just two things. Disco was unstoppable, and black audiences would watch almost anything, provided it felt genuine enough to pass the living room cringe test. When ABC looked at its primetime schedule and saw a gap the size of Soul Train, the network greenlit a low-budget half-hour comedy built on the bones of the beloved coming-of-age film Cooley High. The working title was Central Avenue, but by the time it premiered on August 5, 1976, America met it under a simpler banner, What's Happening? What no one predicted, least of all the underpaid actors who would soon risk their jobs for a raise, was how quickly three kids from South Central would sidestep into pop culture permanence, and how just as quickly Contract Crossfire would blast the show off the air. The pilot opens like a block party camera pan, boombox blare, jump rope chants, fried chicken fragrance curling from apartment balconies. Enter Raj Thomas, skinny, bespectacled, book-dreaming teen, played by Ernest Lee Thomas, fresh off Broadway understudy gigs. Enter his round, bee-bereted best friend, Freddie Rerun Stubbs, Fred Berry, an ex-street dancer whose Lockers troupe had toured with Elton John. Lastly, there's Dwayne, the sweet-natured sidekick with a nasal, hey, 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 that Barry spontaneously shouted during rehearsal just to make crew laugh. Producer Bud Yorkin loved the riff, told him to keep it, and a catchphrase was born that would outlive disco. Viewers inhaled the freshness. A sitcom about black kids that neither buffooned them like J.J. Evans in Good Times, nor sanitized them into upper-middle-class comfort like The Jeffersons. Nielsen numbers leapt into the top 30, sometimes beating Happy Days in key metro markets. The cast, however, earned less than $2,000 per episode. Standard entry-level rate, but insultingly low once lunchboxes, board games, and iron-on t-shirt sales topped 7 figures. Merchandising contracts were nearly non-existent. Residual structure for first-run syndication was still the Wild West. Barry, who paid alimony for 2 ex-wives and fed an entourage of dance crew buddies, felt the pinch first. Thomas, who sent half his check to family in Gary, Indiana, felt it next. Together they hatched a plan both logical and kamikaze. Hold out until Screen Gems, the production company, shared the pie. Season 2's table read should have been routine. Instead, Ernest Thomas slid a folded letter toward the producer, co-signed by Barry. They demanded per-episode salaries tripled and back-end points on merch. Producers reminded them they were replaceable. Thomas counter-reminded that Raj's little sister Dee, played by Danielle Spencer, had already tried to recast them as second-hand actors in a sassy one-liner, and the studio still hadn't found credible stand-ins. Tension hissed louder than the coffee percolator. When talks stalled, Barry and Thomas simply didn't show for blocking. 2 days stretched into 2 weeks. Writers scrambled to script bottle episodes around absent leads, but chemistry is a fragile recipe. The audience tasted the missing spice. Ratings dipped for the first time. Negotiations returned the actors at a compromise. Salary bumps, token merchandising, royalty, no creative veto. They came back physically, but emotionally the set cracked. Barry, once the jolly nucleus, oscillated between playful dance-offs and tirades fueled by rumored amphetamine use. Directors complained he refused takes that downplayed Rerun's swagger. Thomas, now wary, took solace in on-set Bible study, invoking scripture while side-eyeing revised lines that spun his dreamer nerd into a punchline machine. Writer's room, lacking black voices, resorted to stock gags, fried chicken eating contests, chatter about Afro spray. Whenever Barry protested, executives cited the clock. Meanwhile, the fan mail spigot gushed. Viewers loved seeing a chubby black teen steal dance floors. Kids mimicked Rerun's locking moves at recess. Raj's awkward crushes felt universal enough that even Midwestern stations started carrying the show in nightly reruns. That syndication goldmine, ironically, would accelerate the implosion. The more money the network earned from old episodes, the less eager it was to innovate new ones, or to pay extra for them. By early 1979, Barry's outbursts, Thomas's migraines, and a studio's annoyance aligned. ABC canceled the show after only 65 episodes, barely the threshold for baseline syndication. Yet death on one platform can be resurrection elsewhere. Independent channels programmed What's Happening in afternoon loops. Overseas broadcasters licensed it cheaper than newer sitcoms, beaming Hey 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 into Nairobi and Newcastle. Checks trickled to cast, but far leaner than network originals. Fred Berry filed for bankruptcy in 1984, citing back taxes and lapsed dance tour earnings. He also found religion. Pentecostal altar calls replaced nightclubs, and Rerun's signature suspenders were swapped for choir robes. Ernest Thomas briefly disappeared disappeared into acting workshops, resurfaced as Mr. Omar on Everybody Hates Chris, but not before a lawsuit against Screen Gems to recover merchandising royalties quietly settled. In 1985, the lure of lightning in a bottle coaxed producers into a revival. What's happening now? Dee was in college, Raj ran a diner, Rerun delivered the same catchphrase older and rounder. The show rated decently, but suffered déjà vu conflict. Barry demanded more lines, more pay, more control. After he missed multiple tapings, the producers fired Rerun mid-season, citing unprofessional conduct. Without Barry's boisterous center, the reboot lost bounce and folded in 1988. Still, syndication continued, and Rerun dance cameos popped in everything from Snoop Dogg videos to Scrubs fantasy sequences, cementing the character even as the actor faded. Legacy often distills mess into memory's highlight reel. Younger audiences remember the theme's bass slap groove, Dee's savage comebacks, Shirley Hemphill's deadpan waitress, and Rerun's Redwood Tree split. They don't recall contract footnotes, but inside Hollywood, the walkout became case study. Networks learned that undervaluing ensemble chemistry risks killing profitable IP. Actors learned that public affection doesn't necessarily translate into leverage unless their absence hurts the bottom line quickly. Later cast renegotiations, from Friends to Blackish, cited Barry Thomas precedent when pushing collective bargaining. As streaming platforms mine 1970s catalogs, What's Happening lands before new eyeballs who marvel at its laugh-track innocence, yet catch underlying social commentary. Single mom economics, busing debates, teenage body positivity long before hashtags. Watching today, you can almost hear the tension crackle beneath punchlines. The knowledge that each giggle purchased another day's grace before someone in a suit measured profit against principle. And when the closing credits roll, that theme guitar riff seems to whisper the show's real moral. Entertainment is easy money until the people who make it ask to share fairly. Then suddenly, the polite what's happening becomes an urgent what's next, and the true plot, power versus people, takes the stage. Whether Rerun's suspenders or Raj's dreams saved more lives than the contract dispute harmed is impossible to quantify. But one fact stands. Kids who never saw themselves beyond news crime segments glimpsed possibility in a 30-minute window, and that glimpse ricocheted into their adulthood aspirations. Call that priceless or call it another unpaid royalty. Either way, the value endures. The next time you hear hey hey hey, remember it isn't just a laugh line, it's the echo of actors who dared to label their worth out loud and discovered the punchline can sometimes punch back.